Well, both the Trump and Biden campaigns now on the home stretch with Election Day now less than 2 weeks away, and Vice President Pence will be holding an event, as we mentioned, in Cincinnati this evening. In fact, his plane just landed there moments ago. Joining us now live to talk about the home stretch, we welcome back our good friend Dr. Lee Hanna, Associate Professor of Political Science at Wright State University. Lee, great to see you. Always enjoy talking to you. Let's start with what's happening right now. That would be the early voting. By all indications, early voting turnout has been record levels. In fact, we had a story last night that in Ohio, the rate is 120% greater than it was just 4 years ago. Of course, we don't know who people are voting for at this point, but what do you make of just this higher early voter turnout?
Yes, Mark, it is a great question. You know, on the one hand, a lot of people are voting early because of their concerns about the pandemic. On the other hand, it could be a sign of enthusiasm, and it will be hard to tell until we get to Election Day to know whether or not, lines are shorter on Election Day and turnout is about what it was in 16, or if we're just seeing a huge wave of new interest. And like you said, it's pretty hard to determine in which direction the enthusiasm is at the moment, but certainly there are signs that there could be a really high turnout for the 2020 election.
Lee, let's turn to the state of Ohio next. We always hear a lot about battleground Ohio this time in any campaign. If you believe the polls, Ohio is virtually a toss-up right now, one of the really close state races in the presidential race. In the past, Ohio has played a huge role in determining who wins the presidential election. Based on what I'm hearing, we're not one of the key swing states this time around, or are we? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you're right that we are definitely a battleground state this time around, at least according to most of the public polling, and the fact that the Trump campaign is here because, they have private polling. They understand, what their data is showing, and something is telling them that 13 days out, it's still worth having Mike Pence, one of the best surrogates on the ground in Ohio. So we seem to be a battleground, but as you pointed out, we may not be a bellwether. I think as people look at the map and what it takes to get to 270, some of the states like Pennsylvania and Michigan may be closer to that tipping point where if one candidate wraps that up, that could be the pivotal electoral votes.
Lee, finally, as you well know, the lifeblood of any presidential campaign is money. I was somewhat surprised to hear a report today that right now the Biden campaign is outspending the Trump campaign nationally at a rate of 3 to 1. That was not the case earlier in the campaign. What's happening there?
Yes, and I think when we look back, there will be some questions about Brad Parscale, the former manager of the Trump campaign, and how efficiently or inefficiently he possibly was using some money over the summer. Biden got a big bounce in fundraising, both after the death of Justice Ginsburg, as well as after the first debate. So the money advantage is certainly going to help him. The fact that so many people have already voted, though, does seem to maybe decrease the likelihood that these last-minute ads will have the same effect that they would have 4 years ago or 8 years ago.
All right, Lee Hanna from Wright State. I have a hunch you and I are going to be speaking quite a bit over the next couple of weeks, and I look forward to that. Thanks for joining us today here on 5 on 2. Take care.
Me too. Thanks, Mark.